Today I'm riding on the brand new Dutch high-speed train, finally entering service after 20 years of waiting. This here is the InterCity New Generation. Come along as I take this train for a ride from the city of Breda, speeding through the Netherlands up to the Dutch capital of Amsterdam, as we look inside the modern first-class interior and dive into the history of this troubled service. Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm here in Breda in the Netherlands and I'm going to be travelling up to Amsterdam on board the InterCity Direct. This service is operated with one of Nederlandse Spoorwegen's brand new ICNG trains and I'm looking forward to trying out the experience in first class. Let's go! Hello from Breda, one of the larger cities in the Netherlands and the starting point for today's journey. The city saw its first railways in 1855, with the opening of a railway to nearby Roosendaal, though of course, since then the station has been rebuilt multiple times. This brutalist structure has been present since the mid-2010s, and personally I think it looks pretty cool. Breda station has a mini shopping centre inside, and there's plenty of trains to see too. Let's head inside for a look around. Just down here in the entrance hall, you'll find a few ticket machines, though I'd recommend you avoid these and book online, as paper tickets carry a small extra charge in the Netherlands. There's also a staffed ticket office if you need any assistance. This station is full to the brim with catering outlets, as is the case in all major stations in the Netherlands, and the entire place felt very modern and well looked after. There are places to buy snacks, as well as hot and cold drinks. Also, some more substantial food options were dotted around. You're certainly not going hungry here, which is a good thing as no trains from this station have any form of catering service. But trains aren't the only transport on offer here, with the station being adjacent to a large bus interchange. How nicely integrated. Of course, as this is the Netherlands, there's a sizable bike storage area in the station, and even a cycle highway passing underneath. My planned train today was the 11:45 InterCity Direct service to Amsterdam Centraal, though as you'll soon see, things didn't quite go to plan. Access to the platforms is granted via automated ticket gates, though this was a smooth process. The station has 6 platforms, numbered 3 through 8. Breda has a frequent service, though little variety in the trains it sees. All trains are operated by the state operator, Nederlandse Spoorwegen, or simply NS for short. Most services are so-called intercity trains, though these aren't particularly fast due to the country's high population density. These run to many key cities and towns across the Netherlands, while the sprinter trains do shorter journeys, stopping literally everywhere. The station also sees some freight trains due to its closeness with Rotterdam, home to Europe's largest seaport. My train, though, will be one of these recently introduced InterCity New Generation, or ICNG units, built by Alstom. Now, the Dutch high-speed train project is a bit of a national scandal. In 2004, the Dutch and Belgian railways jointly ordered 19 new trains from Ansaldo Breda, part of the planned Vira high-speed train from Amsterdam to both Breda and Brussels. But these trains were critically flawed, entering service 5 years later than planned, constant breakdowns, and they even started falling apart at high speeds. This resulted in an urgent activation of loco-hauled trains, with a true replacement for the failed Vira sets many years away. I'll go into further detail about these new high-speed trains once we get moving, but first it's time to get on board. I'm travelling in first class today, which is located in the centre of the train in a 2+1 layout. However, as soon as I entered the carriage, an extremely unpleasant member of staff shouted at me for filming an empty train. I guess he's not a subscriber. After being forced to leave the train by him, I watched it leave, waited 30 minutes, and boarded the next one. And I have to say, the staff on this train were absolutely fantastic, even taking an interest in what I was doing and having a chat about these new trains. NS does not offer seat reservations on its trains, so I am free to sit where I like. Today's route will first see us heading west to the high-speed line, where we'll speed north to Rotterdam and eventually Amsterdam. Journey time is scheduled to be 1 hour and 7 minutes, covering 116 kilometres or about 72 miles. The train departs Breda on time at 12:15, beginning our journey up to Amsterdam. The first section of the journey is spent on the classic route, with Breda being a few kilometres from the Dutch high-speed line, this being the HSL Zuid, which connects Amsterdam with Belgium. But before we get there, let's take a look at this train's interior, and believe me, there's a lot to show off. Let's start off with the seats. Modern train seats are often poor, so I was interested to see what these were like. But these seats were actually really good, with plenty of padding and good ergonomic support. Up top, there's a winged headrest, which made it even more comfortable. Each seat gets a pair of adjustable armrests, making the train feel spacious. These were also well padded. Beneath the seat, you can find the lever for the seat's recline. It wasn't much, but it's a nice feature to have. As for legroom, it's pretty good, and there's plenty of room to stretch out. The seat in front also features a folding footrest, and above this you can find a seat back table, though the table was on the small side. Lastly, between seats you can find some power sockets. Each seat in first class gets a European style socket, as well as a USB socket. And hey, anything has to be better than the older trains, where sockets were rather unhelpfully located far above the seat. Looking back outside, we are now running parallel to the high-speed line, which in a few minutes we'll be joining. It's scenes like these that let you appreciate just how flat the Netherlands really is. It has the least rugged terrain of any country in Europe, and is one of the flattest in the entire world. After running beside the high-speed line for a while, we climb over its tracks, and soon after begin running on the high-speed route ourselves. This part of the HSL Zuid is rather unusual in the Netherlands, as it's one of just a small handful of lines where trains operate on the left-hand side. Most other routes here have trains running on the right. Our train's top speed is 200 km an hour, and we spend most of our journey at this speed. Whilst nowhere near the fastest high-speed train in the world, or even in the Netherlands, that accolade going to the Eurostar trains towards Belgium, it's still a lot faster than the average Dutch train. While cruising at maximum speed, be sure to look out for this route's highlights. My personal favourite has to be the Moerdijkbrug, a pair of rail bridges crossing the Hollandsdiep estuary, with the classic line from Breda still running alongside us. After a few minutes of high-speed running, we begin to slow down, already coming into the city of Rotterdam. Rotterdam is the Netherlands' second largest city, and is located in the densely populated South Holland province. The city's main station, Rotterdam Centraal, is very modern and seriously expansive, capable of handling the many commuters and travellers that pass through. That's over 100,000 people every single day. After a brief 3-minute wait, we're back on the move. Visible here are some of the older InterCity trains, though I couldn't quite see any of the koploper units, which are due to be replaced by the ICNG I'm on now. These new ICNGs are fast becoming the face of train travel in the Netherlands, much like the iconic Hondikop was back in the 1950s. A total of 99 units are on order, and of these, 20 are specifically set up for cross-border services to Brussels. Anyway, let's go and have a look around the rest of this train. Second class has a very similar ambience to first class, but with a denser 2+2 seating layout. Much like in first class, the seats are very comfortable, if a little bit smaller. There are also these communal bench seating areas in both classes, intended for small groups and meetings. And 2 dedicated wheelchair spaces can be found in one of the end carriages, situated next to the accessible toilet. Toilets on Dutch trains are normally filthy and in poor condition, so let's take a look. These are fitted with images depicting natural landscapes, a tactic to deter graffiti and vandalism. The soap dispenser was working fine, as was the water. And a hand dryer is also provided. I'm pleased to say that this toilet was very clean and in good condition for once, though unfortunately the door lock mechanism seems to be broken. NS has introduced a new lighting concept on these ICNG trains, with 3 different themed areas pertaining to a different travel style. The main one is orange, where you can chat away to your fellow passengers, while I travelled in pink, the train's quiet zone. There's also blue, which is aimed at business travellers looking to get some work done. Wi-Fi is meant to be available throughout the train, though I couldn't get it working this time. As we make our way north along the HSL Zuid, we effortlessly speed past road traffic on the adjacent A4 motorway. You might have noticed that we're running on the right again, having switched over since leaving Rotterdam. Above each seat, you can find an individual reading light, and believe me, this thing is bright. Just next to this, each seat has a sliding coat hook, though another coat hook can be found on the seat in front. As for luggage space, you can find plenty of room in the overhead luggage racks, with a few small luggage stacks being dotted around the train. It's worth noting that the units built for the international route to Belgium will be fitted with extra luggage space, which seems like a wise idea. Now let's talk about the things on this train that I did not like. Well, first off, these trains are pretty rough riding, as you can see, and I endured a constant rattling sound from beneath the carriage. Secondly, despite being under a year old, they were absolutely filthy. It's a real shame that NS has still not improved its cleaning regime. There were even various crumbs of food left on my seat, which is pretty unacceptable. And third, these trains are so noisy. This depends where you sit, but I was really surprised that such a modern train was making this amount of noise, even at relatively low speeds. Eventually, we slow down and pass through Hoofddorp, now just a few minutes away from Amsterdam. But before we get there, the train dives into a tunnel beneath Amsterdam's Schiphol airport. The train makes a brief stop at the airport, the platforms being located directly beneath the terminal, making it easy to connect both to and from a flight. Now let's talk about how much this journey costs. Fares for this service are pretty confusing, with some sections requiring an additional supplement which can be pre-booked online or at the station if you change your mind. Anyway, a first class one-way ticket is €43.19, which I think is really expensive. Personally, I'd recommend second class, which represents better value for money, at just over half the price of first class. The last part of the journey is spent weaving through Amsterdam's suburbs, on the way to Amsterdam Centraal. This station is Sloterdijk, one of the city's main transport interchanges, with buses, trams and the city's metro also serving the station. We pull into Amsterdam Centraal just 2 minutes late at 13:24. Overall, I enjoyed my ride on the InterCity New Generation a lot. Whilst these trains have a few flaws, the overall vibe and comfort is pretty great. As always, let me know what you thought of the new Dutch high-speed train in the comments, and to learn about the country's quirkiest and strangely shaped train, then click up here now to watch my video on the famous Koploper.